Welcome to the Tabletop Travel Guide, the podcast where we explore fictional worlds and civilizations right from the comfort of our own table. I'm Sam, and unfortunately this week I did not get to participate in D&D in any capacity because I started a new job and had to do dumb evening work things now.
Yeah, that's true.
But new job's good.
New job was good.
New job is good.
Yeah, mostly I missed one session because I had to do an evening work thing, and then in our other group where I'm playing, I missed because I forgot that I'd signed up for an online class and had to do coursework. So that part was less fun, but more my fault.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Entirely fair. I'm Ryan. Last week in our session, we didn't do any actual play. It was all planning for the finale. And as is traditional, the players completely went off the wall and I did not expect what they want to do. So now I need to figure out what the rules are for death by lava.
Yeah, it was probably good that Sam was not there for that because it was very in the weeds, which she's like, I'm not into. So yeah. Hey, and I am Tyler. And this week I got to GM a campaign that we hadn't played in since December. We finished up the second book of a 3-part adventure, and I kind of took a break because I was DMing a second game as well, and then we just kind of never got back to it. Other people had been GMing, so there was a week where we didn't have anything going on, so I'm like, I'll do a quick side quest. It was good to see all the characters again.
Nice.
Yeah, so we are gonna be finishing out our last of a 4-part miniseries on the plains. It's been a long journey, but we appreciate everybody for joining us through it. So if you haven't listened to the previous episode or the previous 3, the one directly before this about Inner Sphere Industries is probably going to be the most relevant. But otherwise, yeah, welcome back. Last episode, we met all of the elemental lords and department heads
There's a lot.
Yeah, of Inner Sphere Industries. And we met our 2 consultants that are going to be providing their services. So do you want to do a quick refresher on the characters who are coming with us?
Yeah, so mine is Vistan, and I am an evil druid who wants to burn down the forests and make everything a desert.
And in contrast, I have Lucy, I'm assuming good druid who just wants to learn about nature and plants and run around with her leshy familiar.
Whoops.
Yeah, so very different people. I doubt you guys will be coworkers anytime soon. You might pass each other in the cafeteria and give each other glares, but I hope by the end of this episode you will have figured out where you would like to settle and help work in Inner Sphere Industries.
That's the goal.
Yes.
Wherever Ryan's character's desk is, we're going to play tiny pranks on it with the leshy. He's very mischievous.
Come back and it's all foiled up.
It's going to be covered in plants. That's what we're going to do.
True.
We're just going to grow what is this flower doing here?
Who put a shrubbery on my desk?
Yes.
Shrubbery. Yeah, so today I told you I would give you a tour of the building. So yeah, we're going to start in the garden. The garden outside is the first world. So the first world is a kind of not parallel universe. There are several universes that kind of overlap on each other.
Mm-hmm.
The first world is kind of one of where fae creatures have come, where it's kind of a world of magic. Gnomes are from there, and they kind of teleported to the universe or the material plane some amount of time ago. But yes, the gardens are all wild and vibrant and magical outside of ISI.
Sounds awful.
I feel like I really need that kind of plant in my actual real life house because I just cannot keep them alive. But I think if they were magical, I would be more successful. This is not related to anything we were talking about. I'm just envisioning plants that don't immediately go, this is a terrible place for me to live and you're a terrible person taking care of me. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife makes it very clear. If we miss Water Wednesday, it is a catastrophe.
I wish I even had enough of a schedule to have a Water Wednesday. I'm oh, buddy, I can't remember the last time I watered you. Oops.
It's a very sturdy fern that we have. That's it. That's as close to the plane of the first world that we will get in terms of wildlife. But yeah, we're not going to talk too much about this. We're going to go into the lobby. And again, this is the universe as you guys know it.
Yep.
We're going to kind of bypass that. Universe is where Golarion is.
We've been there.
We've been there.
We're from there, probably.
Yeah, I've heard there's a
Or
few
that.
there's a few travel guides who work in Golarion and talk about all the countries. So great people. If you want to listen to their podcast, feel free. But we're not going to talk too much about the universe.
Sure.
If we're going through the lobby, you've been there. We're going to take a quick stop off into our electrical room. Just so you know kind of what's powering Inner Sphere Industries.
Okay.
You have Creation's Forge. This is previously the positive energy plane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And this is the source of all energy and life in the Inner Sphere and like throughout all of the multiverse, really. It's basically the source where souls come from. So it's kind of the cycle we talked about that comes out in the Maelstrom. It kind of feeds back into Creation's Forge and then works its way through.
So we're talking about positive energy more in the sense of positive as an addition, not positive as in good.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think in the remaster they're changing the way they denote positive and negative energy, but it's more of like life-giving.
We're building something.
Creation energy.
Yeah. Be careful though. Do not go into this room.
Oh.
Because much like in our world, if you touch live wires, it goes poorly. Any creature or anything that attempts to survive in Creation's Forge for more than a few seconds generally gets incinerated. There's just so much energy.
It's just too much and they poof.
Yeah. You generally poof in.
Yikes.
Yes. So we're going to continue on.
Backing away from the door.
Yes.
Slowly backing
Caution,
away.
high voltage.
That's why they have those stickers on the doors, yes.
Yeah. So moving away from the electrical room, we are going to take a trip to the basement. And this is also called the Netherworld. Think of it as a kind of weirdly dark copy of the lobby. There's no natural light. We're not really sure why the architect decided a dimly lit copy of the lobby was a good design choice, but sure.
Look, remodels are expensive. New designs are expensive.
Yeah.
Just do the same thing. Don't put as many light bulbs in.
Yeah, so the Netherworld, or previously called the Shadow Plane, is basically a copy of the universe. And you can basically find a one-to-one kind of look of what you would find in the universe in the Shadow Plane.
Okay.
It might be slightly different. You might find a bustling city in one and ruins in the other in the same place.
But it's like Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Upside Down.
The
That's
Upside
it.
Down,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's a good that's a good analogy. It's just like a creepy, but it's dangerous, but people can live there. Fetchlings, which we talked about, or Kyle, which we talked about in, I think, the Nidal episode.
Yep.
They live there. People live there, but it's just a little bit different.
Sure.
Compared to the universe. Like we talked about before, the kind of one of the biggest features is called the glare, which is a light in the middle that if you look at it, you basically get transported back to wherever you entered the Shadow Plane from.
Which is super convenient.
Yeah, that is really convenient. The other weird thing is distances don't make sense. The scale is 1-to-1, but if you walk a few feet in the basement and then go up a staircase, you might be across the building in the lobby.
That sounds like a basement. I mean, does anyone really know where they are when they're in somebody's basement?
That's true. That's a
Where's
good point.
the door?
Yeah.
This is a wall.
So we talked about the lobby. We talked about the electrical box. We talked about the basement. And now we're going to talk about the composter, which if the electrical box or Creation's Forge is to the universe, the composter or the void is to the Netherworld.
Okay.
So where Creation's Forge is constantly giving energy, the void is constantly sucking energy.
Removing energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Here at ISI, we are very eco-conscious, so we don't like to just throw away our trash. We like to decay it into nothing. And the composter is very great for that. But be careful because you might also decay into nothing if you spend too much time here.
Another room I don't want to go into.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the
I'm
void
just waiting for Ryan's character to try to push me into the void.
No, I wouldn't do that to you. I'd do that to your Leshy.
Wow.
Rude.
Yeah, so like I said, our eco-friendliness is top tier, but our workers' comp is not. So let's move on.
There's a reason none of you have pensions.
There's reason.
Oh.
Yes. So the last kind of bit before we get into the floors we talked about last time is the ethereal plane. The ethereal plane is kind of the transitive plane between the material, or between the universe, the netherworld, the elemental planes, as well as the first world.
So the ethereal plane is where we would find ghosts and spirits
yep.
and the beyond-ish.
Yeah, so if you are a ghost or a spirit, you would be in the ethereal plane.
Okay.
And people or humans can traverse in the ethereal plane, or no? It just kind of like is a side by side.
You can. There's some spells that get you like to walk in and blink
Ethereal
in
jaunt.
through. Yeah, ethereal jaunt. There's stuff like that you can walk in and out. But if you're like a ghost, you basically live there. If you're a mortal, you can traverse it, but it is an overlapping thing.
Okay.
It's like I am here or I am here in ghost form. So metaphor breaking down, I'm like, Sam, what the heck do I
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
So we're gonna call this the hallways in between all of the different locations in ISI.
Okay.
As you go from one place to another, you usually have to traverse a hallway, and that's gonna be the ethereal plane.
Okay.
They're mostly there to get you from one place to the other. There's also kind of full of some creepy people. You know, you see some weirdos who just kind of silently stare at you. They don't seem fully there. But yeah, the ethereal plane is full of weird ghosties as well. So now let's move on to the floors. Like I said last time we talked through Rage of Elements. Rage of Elements, it covered the concept of the other planes like Universe, Creations, Forge, Void, etc., but it mostly focused on the elemental planes.
Mm-hmm.
So I got most of the information for everything else from just the wiki. There is also a book, Planar Adventures, that I didn't really dive too much into that for this episode, but we used for the Outer Sphere. So let's dive in and talk about the planes. You already met all of the department heads.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to do, this episode is, the end of our series, and if I talked about every little bit of the planes, it'd be both very interesting and also 4 more episodes. So,
and also maybe very boring.
And also maybe very boring. So what I'm going to do is, in each plane that we go to, on each floor of ISI, I'm going to talk about one art piece that is there, one nice feature that has decorated the floor,
nice.
As most corporations love that art.
Sure.
I'm going to talk about one working area or one team space, which is going to be a settlement. And then I'm going to talk about one coworker you might have on the plane. Sound good?
That sounds good.
Perfect.
What could go wrong?
And then based on this information, hopefully you will learn more about your plane as you start working there and you have orientation. So we go up to the floor above the lobby. Again,
yes.
Right.
First floor, second floor, depending on what country you're in. We go above the lobby to the plane of air. It is, again, mostly empty, but let's go to the art piece. These are called the spheres. So these are orbs that just kind of float around the floor. They are pure bronze and steel. They are large as moons.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's large.
Big chunk of bronze.
Big floor. Big chunk of bronze, big chunk of steel. And they're covered in ancient writings. No one really knew what they did for the longest time. They just were kind of there. Recently, again, one of the spheres actually hatched open, and it turned out to be a sort of egg.
Oh.
Yes.
Of course.
It oddly coincided with the new departments, metal and wood, opening up.
Okay.
What was found inside this moon-sized sphere were a couple of genies of wood, or Kizadars.
Oh, they're very large if they are the size of a moon.
They are not necessarily the size currently in that broken-in moon. You can see a bunch of either dwellings or containment vessels along the interior walls, but no one's really explored it too much.
Oh, weird. So there's spaces for other ones?
Yeah.
Huh.
Very weird.
So it's very interesting. People aren't sure whether they were transport escape pods or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah. One of the Pathfinder scholars who was there when the one sphere broke open has since claimed another one is broken open, and genies of metal have come out.
Convenient. Okay.
Could be there. Other than that, there's not much known about them.
It's a
that's
flex.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a flex to put that as your art piece.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. Avoid some moon-shaped spheres as they float around. We're going to go to the team space, and this is a settlement known as Armin Kalisk. It's the capital city of the Jathums, which are the air genies.
Okay.
And it is a metropolis spread across 7 floating islands of stone, ice, and silver.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. The genie's magic lets them rearrange the city's platforms at their whim, so the different islands will connect in different ways.
Okay.
So your address might change,
Yeah.
depending.
I don't know if your address would change, but I think your commute or like how you get to your address.
Suddenly, I am much farther from the grocery store than I was yesterday.
You go down that street. Oh, nope. That street is now connected to a different island. You go down that. There we go. You go down that street, connect your way around. Their magic also simulates gravity and the day-night cycle. So it's among the planes, it's a pretty normal place to be.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
And because of that, it's a huge trade city. And the coolest thing, since they're all floating islands, it's a big hub for airships.
Ooh.
Airships.
Yeah. So there's airship docks, and you can charter a airship to basically take you anywhere on the plane.
Oh my gosh, it's Treasure Planet.
Yo, I was just going to say Treasure Planet. Let's go.
Yeah.
Underrated movie. Fabulous.
Yeah. While you're there, you might meet one of your coworkers, an Animoi, or
Animoi.
that's the plural. In the singular, it's animos. Animos?
Animos.
I think animos.
Animos.
Anemos. Animos. So the Animoi are powerful beings tasked by ancient gods to guard the skies and guide the winds.
Mm.
They're not good or evil, but sometimes when they guide winds and create storms and kind of do all that, they don't really have much regard for anything that gets kind of caught in their way.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, the cardinal winds on Golarion are all directed by Animoi, by 4 different of these creatures that guide the winds in each direction.
Interesting.
So they kind of have like a global perspective where like the currents need to move in a certain way, and it doesn't make sense to disrupt that.
Yeah.
And if a boat is right here, because
Yeah.
globally we're so far removed from that
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
They don't really care.
Yeah, it's global currents. They can shapeshift, so they can occasionally walk among mortals as a humanoid. If they need to get somewhere fast, they can transform into great thunderous horses made of storm clouds.
That's pretty cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and then their true shape is basically wind coalesced into a humanoid form, occasionally with wings.
Oh.
Huh, that's really cool.
Yeah. These also could be your coworkers if you work on the plane of air. Just watch out for their storms.
Mhm.
Or if they need to get somewhere fast.
Okay. Not against it.
Yeah.
Seem pretty chill.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to ascend in order this time. So we will hit the plane of wood, which, like we said last episode, the full floor is not open yet, but parts of it are.
Mm-hmm.
The art piece on the plane of wood is the animated garden. So we talked about one of the elemental lords or department heads, Shamoonway,
Mm-hmm.
last one, and she was kind of the lord of creation and created, breathes life into a still forest of the wood. The animated garden is one part of her home that is open to the public.
Oh, cool.
So many sculptors and mimicry artists dream of entering here and working. Once a year, a worthy candidate is selected among people who have lived on the plane for 10 or more years and is given access to the gardens, their materials and tools for the arts, and able to work in there and create.
That's pretty cool.
And the cool thing is, Lady Shamoonway herself visits once a year on her birthday to breathe life into a creation of her choice.
Ooh.
Yeah,
okay.
So if you make a good enough creation, then it can be brought to life by Shamoonway herself.
I wish Lucy was an artist, but she's really more of like a book nerd. So, dang it. That would have been cool.
Yeah. So the team space, which we will explore on the plane of wood, is called Shodokar. This is actually a relatively new team space. It is a city in the hollows of a dormant volcanic candlenut tree.
Candlenut.
Candle nuts are toxic when eaten raw, so it's like a buckeye.
There you go. Okay.
There you go.
So yeah, candlenuts.
Candlenuts.
Yeah, candlenut tree. What makes it volcanic? I don't really know.
I mean, now I'm just imagining that you have this tree that like sometime, well, it's dormant now, but like historically erupted like a mountain, but it's a tree?
Maybe.
So
Shot
maybe
candle nuts, like exploded candle nuts everywhere.
I mean, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So maybe
Unclear.
raining fiery nuts all over. I didn't mean it like that. I'm never coming back from that.
I'm leaving that in.
Oh,
So-
no.
Gonna have to put an explicit tag on this episode.
I have to leave now? I'm sorry. There's no recovery.
Okay, so Shodakar oh lord, okay. In the hollows of a dormant volcanic candlenut tree, it's a newer city that houses one of the most used portals into the plane. Now that the planes have opened back up, this city is kind of coalesced around this one.
Okay.
And it's a hub of commerce, information, and entertainment. And there's also a gladiator arena in it.
Oh, that's fun.
Nice.
So I imagine on this floor, if people want to blow off some steam, they can fight each other.
Huh.
In a gladiator arena. Adventurers love to go there. It's a place you can go hang out, bet, fight, do whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. And your possible coworker that you might find is called a nursery crawler. Because the plane of wood is filled with so much energy, even fallen trees will be imbued with that kind of energy to kind of spring back to life. So nursery crawlers look like tree stumps with like a single eye on the side of it. And they just kind of travel around looking for the best location to put seeds down for the next generation of trees.
Okay, I thought that was going somewhere creepy, and it did not. So that was good. I was like, nursery crawler, and for some reason I was like, this is creepy. This is something that's in a horror movie with babies and crawling around nurseries. But no, it's looking for fertilized ground.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it better.
Yes. The only thing to be weary of is it launches seeds around it, and those seeds start to sprout immediately. And if you get caught in the seeds, they will sprout from you.
Oh.
So
okay.
Be careful.
Don't get hit by its candle nuts.
Don't get...
Look, guys. I got it together. Don't make me laugh again.
So let's leave the candle nuts and go to the next floor. So we move up to the plane of water. Again, you have to put on your masks. We give your little Leshia mask.
Mm-hmm.
And the art piece in the plane of water are called bleach lakes. So they're basically freezing and dense saline waters that collect into their own oceans within the ocean. So you will have beaches. Remember, the plane of water is basically all ocean. And there will be beaches around even deeper parts that hold this saline, like the saline and dense water.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So like in SpongeBob, when they go to the beach.
Right. Beachception.
Yeah.
Okay.
The interesting thing about that is the waters in there, they don't have any oxygen at all in them. So even creatures with gills can suffocate in the bleach lake.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So some merfolk and creatures will go diving to gather treasure left behind by previously unsuccessful divers.
Oh, snap.
Brutal.
Yeah. So people will go and hold their breath and dive into these bleach lakes, and some come up, some don't.
Brutal.
Yeah. That's the art piece on the plane of water.
Okay.
The settlement is the team space is a moving team space. So the interesting thing about the team of water, or the floor of water, is that most cities move to some extent. They're not really on the ocean floor. They all just kind of move around with the currents.
Mm-hmm.
The working area we're going to go to is called City on Lure.
It sounds kind of like picturesque, like a little New England town, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, so this city is very mobile because it is built on the back of a giant anglerfish.
Not New England.
Yeah.
Huh.
So remember anglerfish are the ones with like the little light?
Yeah, the little dangly.
The little dangly light?
Yeah.
So there is a city on the back of one of these. This fish specifically is called Lure, Lure.
Of course we named it.
Yeah.
Is that the type of fish or the fish's name?
They named the fish that they live on.
Okay.
So they call it Lure.
Okay.
That is its,
makes sense now.
That is its God-given Christian name. So luckily for the people in the city, it's pretty hospitable because the lure's flesh is very delicious for sustenance and also is very structurally sound for building on top of it.
I'm sorry. So they eat the fish and build on the fish, and the fish just chill?
Yeah, I imagine the city's like, it's almost kind of like what are the things that kind of like latch onto sharks?
Oh, they have like the suckies on them.
Yeah, so it's like,
okay.
it's like the fish is so big that the
Oh.
city on top of it is not that much of
It's
an inconvenience
insignificant.
for it.
Huh.
Construction must be so weird. You have to like eat your way to make a foundation.
Right?
Weird.
We have food and also structure.
Hmm.
So it used to be more of a mobile trade port, but in recent times, Lure has descended and taken up residence near a place called Phantom's Ebb,
Hmm.
which is basically a huge graveyard. And people theorize that it senses an imminent escape of Ebb's rumored lightless lord, which is an ancient undead.
Oh.
And it's brought her little glow to help contain it.
Oh, it's a good fish.
Yeah, it's a good fish.
It's a good scary fish.
Yes. So, yeah, if you want to work on City on Lure, you can get some interesting, good food and also hang out by a graveyard for a while.
It has it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it?
That's what I would do if I was putting City on Lore on a travel pamphlet.
Yep. So, next, we were going to talk about one of your possible coworkers, the Marjao, which is one of the many nomadic creatures on the floor of water. They look humanoid from the waist up, but below they resemble a hermit crab. So
The worst kind of, the worst mermaid to be.
Seems like a rough transition.
it's like a weird centaur of the sea. So since they travel around, they pick up a lot of different languages. They're actually very happy to work as translators and guides for adventurers and people who need help if they are properly compensated. And they like to deal in trinkets and talismans, specifically ones that help protect travelers. They really kind of take pride in their guiding and protecting and doing that of people traveling through the plane. And then they will also trade stories of treasure troves that they've heard of to among themselves, and also sell that information to, or give that information to adventurers for a small share of the treasure if they get it.
So I get 10% for this information.
For the information.
Okay.
Yeah. So pretty helpful, pretty nice. Hermit crabby friends.
I'm a fan of the Centaurs of the Sea.
Yeah, the Marjao. But we continue. Again, above the plane of water, we go to the plane of metal. The art piece here is Duckmyra's Folly.
Mm.
It is a huge outcropping of the silver-colored metal called Sicatite.
I love Sicatite.
Yeah, it's.
I have an unhealthy obsession with Sicatite in my games.
I feel like it shows up in every one of your campaigns.
I love putting Sicatite in things.
Because you like to say it?
I think the name is fun, and I mean, it looks like Tyler's going to talk about it more, but it's like a metal that has multiple states.
That's true. I just, whenever I hear it, I do think of Ryan going, cold Sicatite.
So the outcropping is actually also kind of a trap, a natural trap. The surface temperature of it continually fluctuates between two extremes every 24 hours.
Cool.
So at its coldest, it's cold enough to instantly freeze molten lead. At its hottest, it vaporizes organic material.
That's
on
so
touch.
cool.
Oh, either way, you're dead.
Yes, either way, you're dead. And there are a few short hours in between each cycle where it's somewhat hospitable, and people go to try to mine Sicatite during that time.
That's awesome.
That's like terrifying.
Yeah, so you really need to time it or you will die.
Oh, it's like the deep sea fishing reality TV shows, except it's like
Oh my gosh, yes.
it's the miners of Duckmyra's Folly. That's our
Yes.
next reality show for whatever our production company was for
I like
last
it.
time.
So the working area on the plane of metal is Argyris, Argyris, Argyris.
I mean,
Argyris?
yeah.
Argyris?
Argyris. Ooh, I
Argyris
like
probably
that.
makes
That sounds
sense,
good.
yeah.
Argyris. This settlement is also called the Ringing City, and it's a city built above a massive deposit of adamantine, the size of a continent.
Oh.
Man.
Yeah. So it gets its moniker of the Ringing City from the clanging of hammers of countless smiths who practice here.
Mhm.
It is basically the kind of bastion of all skilled metalwork artisans, and they all try to come here to make their life's creations.
Sure, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not only is it a great blacksmithing town, it is also home to great libraries dedicated to elementalism, as well as science, history, philosophy, and magic theory.
Ooh.
So it's kind of a little bit of everything, a very
Okay.
fount of great things and knowledge.
It feels like a good place to visit.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy would be into the libraries.
Yeah, like the books.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one of the possible coworkers you might have on this floor are the Mercurials. So they are some of the most populous people on the plane of metal. And they basically look like the T-1000 from Terminator 2.
Yo.
They are bodies made of liquid metal. Unlike the T-1000, they are very excitable, curious, and incredibly friendly, though they do get bored easily and don't stay in one place or one shape for long. So they are very helpful, but you might not have a long-lasting ally because they kind of get bored easily.
Oh.
They do change their shape constantly, and to make sure they're still recognizable to their friends,
Yeah.
when they change their shape, they change their name, but they also keep all previous names that they've had as part of it.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
pretty cool.
So,
So,
your friend is like, hello, I'm Martin, Bob, Sue, Nancy.
Yes.
Something.
Yes. And you're like, oh, Sue, I knew that one. Okay, hey, Bob. What's up?
Exhausting, but also really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they could be your coworker on the plane of metal.
Oh, that could get really rough for coworkers.
Can you just imagine the name tags? It's the current name, and then it just is one of those fold out picture things, but it just does names.
So yeah, you might work with the Mercurials if you are on plane of metal. But let's continue on. We move up to the plane of Earth.
Woo, Earth.
And the art piece on the plane of Earth is called the Gold Hive. It is an area with unending miles of raw gold deposits near the border of the plane of metal.
Oh, that's cool.
It has been mined for centuries and hasn't even been remotely depleted in the least.
Huh.
There's just so much gold.
Does that bring down the value of the gold then if you can just keep getting it? It's whatever, I've got some gold, you've got some gold, but it's really easy to get gold.
Yeah, I don't really, I don't know.
I mean, I think planar transport's hard enough that it would probably be a thing to send an expedition to go get a bunch of gold and bring it back. And that would be a time consuming and dangerous enough proposition that it's not you show up, portal through, even portaling, right? Plane shift is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, but it's very pretty. A lot of gold. So the working area on the plane of Earth is called Citronide, where most tunnels and caverns are kind of relatively small on the plane. This one is huge. It has the roof of the cavern is the size of a continent. And the roof is lined with huge citrine stalactites that bathe everything in a kind of pale yellow glow. So it's very mellow.
Okay.
There are nearly 40 city-states that populate the cavern. So I imagine it's a pretty big co-op space for working.
You could probably run a whole campaign just out of that space.
Probably.
That's cool.
Yeah, honestly. And then the possible coworker you might find on this floor is the Zeomorn. It is originally an immortal earth elemental that was created by Cyrazul, the good one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
So Cyrazul, who is the good elemental lord, she created exactly 65,536 of these Zeomorns.
Very
I
specific.
just imagine that's my lucky number.
Right? Yeah, all in her own image. And they are basically built to, create and build vast civilizations.
Okay.
Oh.
Unfortunately, while Cyrazul was away, imprisoned,
Mm-hmm.
Irzul, that jerk, which we talked about, the poison guy,
Mhm.
he used visions of future extinction to manipulate them into sacrificing their own power to him.
Oh, that's rude.
Right? So there are now two different classes of Zeomorns. There are 32,768 that are called Vault Builders, who are still immortal, and 32,768 that are called Vault Keepers, who are no longer so.
Man, good thing she picked an even number, or else the very equal division would not have been able to happen.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Good
So
luck.
none of them. Well, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So the ones that are still loyal, I guess, to Cyrazul, those would be the Vault Builders.
Yes, the Vault Builders are the
Are
ones
still
who are
immortal.
still immortal and still loyal. They didn't sacrifice their power.
Okay.
Yeah, so they built, like I said, they built a vast civilization across the floor, and then they kind of ran out of room to build and then just left.
Oh,
Huh.
our
So-
work is finished. Goodbye.
Yeah, and then they're now trying to search out for any clues to the extinction and what causes it that
Mm,
of the visions that they were given.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, you might run into some.
okay.
Why not? They might be a little sad. Who could
Aw.
say? And then finally, we come to the top floor of ISI, to the floor of fire. The art piece is the Sokoleo Peak, which is the tallest and most volatile volcano in the Afawapi Mountains.
Okay.
Sure.
Eruptions of this volcano are both violent and common, which obviously means that it is an incredibly prestigious place to live.
Wait, what?
Well, okay. Yeah, I get it. Because if you're going to live somewhere volatile, you're going to have all the cash to rebuild your stuff when it gets hit by a volcano. So only super rich people with a lot of resources are up here. And if
Oh
you
my
can live up there,
gosh.
you're like, look, I'm so rich and fancy. It doesn't matter if my house gets hit by a volcano. I'll just build another one.
That is exactly what happened.
Oh my
Seriously?
gosh.
So the only caveat,
My house burns down every week. I don't even care.
the only caveat is their house don't burn down because they are so rich that they have all types of magical wards to protect it.
Okay.
So opposite.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But yes, it's covered in fabulous mansions and glorious palaces that are all magically warded and aren't affected by the volcano.
Oof, man.
If you're going to host a murder mystery, this is the place to host it.
Ooh.
You look out the
Stop.
window, there's bubbling volcanoes and bubbling lava.
All right, well, now I want to run that one off.
Oh,
That sounds
that'd
legit.
be a great campaign.
I'm going to write that for Halloween.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
So, elementals also believe that it was Sakaleo's first eruption that created the rest of the inner sphere.
No.
Not sure if that's true, but
Okay.
that's what they believe. So it's a very holy place for elementals
Hmm.
and just a very bougie place for rich people. So the working area is called Inferno's Bliss. It is a huge settlement inhabited by fire elementals, and it's actually relatively hospitable.
Okay.
It's a bit dry, a bit warm, but otherwise pretty comfortable. They have a big welcoming committee, so you actually get a ton of swag if you go there. People are super friendly and hospitable there.
Okay.
We do love swag.
Yeah. So they give a lot of corporate swag for ISI.
Koozies.
Yeah, koozies, pens, water bottles, fire
I
bottles.
want the beanie hat.
Ooh, the beanie
The
hat.
beanie hat.
You just gotta be careful what you say while working there. Most of the denizens who live there are tongues of Ymeri,
Aw.
which are the spies of the
Sure.
elemental lord Ymeri. So if you say anything bad about her, you might die.
So accept
this
your swag silently.
Yes, but other than that, great place.
Okay. Okay. I mean, just visit for the swag and then continue on your way.
Yeah. And I saved the best possible coworker for last.
Oh, boy.
I am so delighted by this one. These are called the Brockmas,
It's a good name.
which basically look like walking cylindrical ovens that are split across the middle by a mouth.
Okay.
So they constantly have a fire burning within them, and it's always roasting whatever meat it's trying to consume.
Okay, so wait. Does it smell delicious or terrible?
So
Is it like, look, it's the giant smoker. Mm.
Is it your friendly neighborhood grill or is it?
it depends.
Oh, no.
So it doesn't care how it cooks its own meat. It just eats whatever.
Okay.
And there have been attempts as a living oven. People have in the past attempted to force them into service to cook for them.
Sure.
What that usually results in is their captors getting eaten and turned into a pile of ash. However, what's left on the pile of ash is a written review of how they tasted.
Yes. The best calling card.
That's so brutal. I love it.
So instead, they have been employed across all of ISI and other places because they will trade gifts for services.
Okay.
So their services are, meat cooked from their mouths
Oh, okay.
that people have said is very delicious.
Okay.
And the gifts they accept are raw meats.
Okay.
So you can basically give them rare raw meats and they will give you delicious food in return.
That's a great coworker.
Yeah, fantastic scope.
Invite them to all the potlucks.
Yes. Yeah.
Is Dave the living grill coming? I don't want to go if Dave's not
I
going.
love that guy.
Grill man Dave. love that guy. He's fantastic. Yeah. I love the Brockmas so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and their art is literally just like them and there's like kebabs sticking out of their mouth.
Stop.
So, yeah, we have reached the end of our tour. Hopefully it wasn't too quick. It's a bit of a whirlwind. Again, you'll be able to learn more about what planes you're at as when you work there. And if everybody listening wants to learn more, pick up Rage of Elements because it's a fantastic book and there's so much information.
It's such a cool book.
We couldn't cover it all here, but it's a great book. So now comes the time for the decision. planar consultants.
Oh, no.
Where would you like to work, and who would you like to
All
have
right,
as your
so
boss?
I have deeply considered this question, and although I am tempted to go for the Plane of Fire, I think we're gonna work for Irazul, the
Okay.
fossilized king on the Plane of Earth.
Okay, nice.
Where he's out there looking to do some stuff, and maybe he's not the most present boss, but that's just more opportunities for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is Earth, like the plane of Earth, a satisfying enough lack of foliage?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it's a dead place, but it's not like a verdant forest.
Yeah.
So Vistan probably likes that it's a bit more barren. The denizens sound pretty cool. Lots of opportunity there. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, Irazul on the plane of Earth. What about you? What about Lucy?
So I think that Lucy is going to pick the hottie on the plane of air and
Ooh.
go hang out with Ragnarori.
Okay.
Mostly, I think what pulled her in for that is that he works so much with the mortals
Mm-hmm.
and like trying to make connections to Earth, or I'm sorry, the universe. So I think she would be super into that. And then just like loved the idea of the one settlement in the plane of air that's airships and movement. And so I feel like
Pretty cool.
what she would try to do is like get a job as like being some type of emissary so that she could just like pop around on her little airship and like go over
Yeah.
here and go over here and still be like getting to learn a ton of things and get to experience all the planes and the world. But
Nice.
she's in for hope and change.
Cool. So hopefully, based on the next year's financial quarterly report, it'll be bumping after you guys have come and consulted for a year.
That's the hope. Yes.
Yeah. We expect a lot of returns year after year.
Maybe we'll get pensions,
Woo!
but probably
Nice.
not.
Well, okay. Well, thank you, Tyler, for employing our lovely characters and giving them jobs.
Of course, I'm all about the jobs.
Right. They need it. And thank you to all of our listeners for hanging out with us in this interlude into the plains. We hope that you enjoyed getting to hear about some maybe different places than ones that you might experience regularly. If you are enjoying what you're listening so far, tell your friends to listen to us. Drop us a review, some stars somewhere. Feel free to reach out to us. We are on Instagram. We have a website. We have an email, tabletoptravelguidepodcast@gmail.com. We do actually check our email. Shocking.
Yes.
Also, we'll put pictures, character sheets, all of that fun stuff up on the website, and that's just tabletoptravelguide.com.
Also, the day after we post this, we usually throw something on the subreddit, the Pathfinder 2e subreddit. So if you happen to be a Redditor, go check it out. Throw a comment on there.
Mhm.
Let us know.
Say hi.
All right, so we will be back to Golarion after this. So we will see you all back in the universe. But until then, bon voyage.